Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our show Thames Speaks on Sky 711. Every week we basically bring a lot of news stories which we collect from the bank of Thames River and we present it to our audience. हमारी जो ऑडियंस है वो उन सारे किस्सों, उन सारी कहानियों और उन सारी बातों को इतना पसंद करती हैं. उसका कारण है क्योंकि वो हम सब की आम जिंदगियों से निकली हुई किस्से और कहानियां हैं जो हमें हमेशा प्रेरित करते रहते हैं. यदि मैं इजिप्ट की बात करूं तो इजिप्ट की माइथोलॉजी में एक प्राणी है जिसका नाम है फिनिक्स. और फिनिक्स के बारे में ऐसा कहा जाता है कि बेसिक हमेशा अपनी एशेज या अपनी राख से ये वापस जिंदा खड़ा होता है. ठीक वैसे ही कई ऐसी पर्सनालिटीज़ हैं यूनाइटेड किंगडम में जो अपनी कह सकते हैं कि राख से वापस खड़ी हुई हैं. वन ऑफ the famous personality who has established a very famous company in 2003. In 2019, she won Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur Award, and recently she was also recognized as one of the most top 100 UK's influential personality. So today's our guest is Mrs. Poonam Gupta. She is from Glasgow and she is one of the very well-known figure in Scotland. Welcome Poonam ji to our program Thames Speaks.
Thank you so much, Jodha ji, and namaste to all your audience.
ये हमेशा ऐसा लगता है कि जब भी मैंने जैसे फिनिक्स का एग्जांपल दिया इसलिए दिया क्योंकि हर आदमी की ज़िंदगी में कई ऐसे पल आते हैं जब वो हमेशा एक बहुत लोवेस्ट लेवल पर चले जाते हैं. उन्हें लगता है कि ज़िंदगी में आगे कोई रास्ता नहीं है. उन्हें लगता है कि ज़िंदगी में आगे के रास्ते बंद हो गए हैं, चाहे वो फिनेंशियली हो, चाहे वो हेल्थ वाइज हो, चाहे स्पिरिचुअली हो, चाहे मेंटली हो. लेकिन कभी कभी ऐसा लगता है कुछ लोग उन जहाँ रास्ता बंद होता है वहाँ से सारी चीज़ें तोड़कर अपने लिए एक नया रास्ता निकाल लेते हैं. ठीक वैसे ही आपने अपनी ज़िंदगी में किया. एंड आई थिंक दैट्स एन फैसिनेटिंग अमेजिंग स्टोरी. इट्स नॉट जस्ट बिकॉज यू आर अ वुमन, इट्स नॉट बिकॉज यू आर बिजनेस वुमन. आई थिंक ये सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी दर्शकों के लिए या कई लोगों के लिए जानना ज़रूरी इसलिए है क्योंकि हर आदमी अपनी ज़िंदगी में वो चैलेंज महसूस करता है. उन्हें कहीं ना कहीं लाइफ में एक कोने में लगता है कि हम बस शायद ज़िंदगी से हार गए, अब हमें रास्ते बंद हैं. शायद ये आपकी कुछ बातें हैं जो उन्हें प्रेरणा करेगी. सो tell us about your own journey, what exactly happened and what exactly you felt, and then suddenly you started this company and you basically rose to this level now.
Okay. I'll start basically from a little bit of my background. मैं दिल्ली में पली बड़ी हूँ और 2002 में मेरी स्कॉटलैंड में शादी हुई. और जब मैं स्कॉटलैंड आई तो करीब एक हफ्ते में मुझे खबर आई इंडिया से कि मेरी मदर की तबीयत ठीक नहीं है और मैं लिटरली एक हफ्ते में वापस दिल्ली गई. एंड आई नेवर गॉट टू से गुड बाय टू माय मदर एंड शी वाज ओनली 49 एट दैट टाइम एंड शी वाज कंप्लीटली फिट एंड फाइन व्हेन आई लेफ्ट हर इन दिल्ली. सो दैट वाज अ बिग शॉक टू माय सिस्टम, ऑलमोस्ट टू द पॉइंट दैट आई से a part of me completely broke down and I was not in a good place. I came back after a month to Scotland and I was not in a good mental frame of mind. I had just lost my mother, just been married, moved to a new country. I think किसी भी इंसान के लिए ये सारी चीजें इकट्ठे होना कभी कभी it becomes very difficult in your normal course of journey, as you'd appreciate that. And I'm the oldest of the 4 children from my parents. So when I came over, I realized that एक महीने बाद, 1.5 महीने बाद, that I was still going, I was in a black hole, you can say. And I didn't know anybody here. And I thought, okay, the only way perhaps to get out of this is to find myself a job. And I tried and I tried. I was ready to work at Tesco Tills. I was ready to work at a florist. I was ready to take any job. And having done my MBA and economics honors from one of the top colleges in India, which is Sri Ram College of Commerce, I still couldn't find a job here. And then I started basically looking into this. I took a voluntary position for a month, free of cost. Like I didn't, want any money from them. I just wanted to get out and meet people. And that taught me a lot about business. And then I started playing with various business ideas, but I didn't have any money. That was the next challenge. So, and I didn't want to ask my new family for any money. I didn't have that level of comfort with them, just been married, like I said. And in some Indian Asian families 20 years ago, there was also this thing about लड़कियां business नहीं करती या एक respectable job सिर्फ teacher की या doctor की हो सकती है या इंडिया में जैसे बोलते हैं bureaucrat की हो सकती है. So, that wasn't something which was natural for this family either. They're all doctors. And I slowly started, exploring, researching. And at that time, everybody was talking about recycling. So I started looking into that. And very soon, it took me about 10 months of research, but I basically modeled my business in such a way that it didn't require a lot of investment. I started my business with £1,000 grant from a local authority initiative here, which was available for startups at that time. And I bought myself a computer, I think of, some basic equipment that I could afford. And I started my business, which is called PG Paper Company Limited, from £1,000 grant. And I basically modeled my financial model in such a way that I didn't need a lot of investment. And that kind of my hard work, I guess the efficiency that I put into the processes at that time helped my business succeed. And in my first year, I had already turned over within, I think, 6 months. My first turnover was about £650,000 working all by myself.
Here, I'll just interject. I know we will continue with the journey, but I think a lot of people, they have this question. I know you started this PG paper company. I know in the UK we don't make paper, but how did you start this company, or what exactly it does? How does it procure and how does it sell? I think maybe a lot of people will be interested.
Okay. So at that time, 20 years ago, there were a lot of paper mills in the UK, and there were a lot of mills in Europe, and there were manufacturers in America. I was looking at a model where, where I could buy from the Western world, where the quality requirements of paper were very, very high. So if it wouldn't meet their quality specifications, they would put it in waste. And I came up with the idea that, okay, if this waste could be an asset to somebody else, because in India, the requirements or specifications of paper, it wasn't required to be so high in the unorganized sector. So I started looking at this waste that the manufacturers were producing in the UK as well as in, wider Europe. And also I was contacting manufacturers in America, and I was trying to convince them to let me have their waste so I could send it abroad, not sell it in their current market, and see, if I could make something of it. And it took me around 10 months to convince an Italian manufacturer to sell me the first 2 containers that I started with. I don't know how I did it, because at that time I was told, you're new in business, you don't know anything. I needed 25,000 euros to pay them. But somehow I think I managed to convince them that I could do this. And they came through, and that's how my business took off.
So one point which I can pick up from here, that definitely I should compliment your convincing power. You can easily convince someone, and definitely they can give you this business. So after starting this business, which you started in 2003 as a PG paper, slowly and gradually then you moved to different sectors. At the moment, what is the current turnover of this PG paper company?
Well, we turned over just short of £60 million only in the UK.
Great. Then later on, then you basically diversified your business and you moved to different sectors. Which sectors did you basically choose, and why did you choose those sectors?
So I started with paper, then I moved into metal recycling. So I used to export metal from Africa to India as well in hundreds of containers. And then, the profit, and then I started doing recycled fiber. In fact, at one point, we were the largest exporter of recycled fiber from Scotland to various countries, India, Thailand, and multiple other countries. I diversified because I'm a very curious person by nature, and I have this hunger, which is to learn. And I think with every new business that comes by, you get to learn. Yes, you need basic skills, which are kind of similar and transferable, but you learn so much. And, for first 10, 12 years, I did smaller projects. So, for example, if somebody demanded stationery, so I'd export stationery from China to Turkey via UK, or, lots of smaller projects. But that I had this confidence, which built up over the years that I could do other businesses. So then I diversified. So now I have dental surgeries. I've got a couple of restaurants in Glasgow. I've got real estate business. I own a golf course in Scotland. And then I've got own real estate in Turkey, but obviously that's come over time. And I'm also an investor in India. I have investments in about 27 startups in India. One of them, I partly sold my share last year, and I did quite well out of it. So I think all these different diversifications are simply a need which I have to learn and to grow. That's where it comes from. And just like excitement of doing something or challenging yourself, myself.
I completely agree. Sometimes when you're proficient in one particular field, then definitely you apply the same efficiency and same confidence in different fields, and then you try to gain and galvanize the whole business. I know it's an amazing journey, but don't you think that, as you mentioned earlier, 20 years ago, even still, we have there's a mindset in South Asian countries that women cannot do business, or they can't be independent businesswomen. They can assist their husbands or family business, but it is really difficult to become an independent businesswoman, or maybe they cannot start their own startups. So what type of challenges did you face as a woman in that era, and still what type of challenging you are facing?
This is a very interesting question. I'll tell you a story. When I was in 10th standard in India, I wanted to take commerce, and my school didn't have commerce. So I told my father, I said, I'm going to study commerce. But I was a bright student. I was always like one of the toppers in the class. I was a geek, you can say, to a certain extent, although I did have a lot of extracurricular activities. My whole khandan gathered around the round table in my mama's house, basically trying to tell me how wrong I was. And they were telling me the same things that I just touched upon, कि एक औरत की टीचर बन के इज्जत होती है, एक औरत की डॉक्टर बन के इज्जत होती है, लेकिन बिजनेस में कोई इज्जत नहीं होती है. हम तुम्हें कॉमर्स नहीं लेने देंगे, तुम्हें इंजीनियरिंग पढ़ लो, वो भी इतना रिस्पेक्टेबल नहीं है, लेकिन तुमको साइंस पढ़नी चाहिए. So I basically in the end, and this is like the whole khandan, in the end I said to them, I said, ठीक है, I'll take science, but I promise you one thing, if I take science, I will fail my exams in the 11th standard. I will make sure I fail. And if I take commerce, I will make sure that I will come first. And that's where I left it. So I think they realized at that time, okay, they didn't want to, I think, embarrass themselves by me failing my exams. So then on merit, I got admission in DPS Mathura Road, and I studied commerce there for 2 years. And actually in the 12th standard, which in India is the highest standard, and we do CBSE exams, I was the topper in commerce in my entire school.
Can you imagine? And after that, did you try to organize the same round table conference again in your house in recent years? And did you try to compare this? Look, this once upon a time, this is what we discussed, and today this is where we are.
No, I don't think I need to do that anymore. I think now my father gets asked to around round table conferences and asking people whether it's Lions Club of India or various organizations call him to say, is your daughter coming to India? Can we please invite her to speak a few words? Or, I get invited. I've been invited to IAMS. I think it was one of the IAMS to speak at. Unfortunately, I couldn't make that appointment. So now, the tables have turned. Yeah. Now they ask me to come on the table so I can help other people, or I can speak to other people and inspire them.
And here we just say sometimes actions are louder than words. So sometimes when we want to prove ourselves, when we want to prove our inner sixth sense, definitely then we do those actions, and with time it gives fruits to us. Yes, there was one supplementary question when you were talking about that when you were initially looking for the job, you found that you didn't get the job, even you wanted to serve at Tesco Tills or maybe different places, you didn't find the job. Finally you found somewhere for a month. Now you are a successful I can say businesswoman. Now, do you offer similar positions to the people, those who really want to run or start a business? Do you mentor them, or do you run any special maybe interactive session or a program where you feel you can create maybe hundreds of a new generation of millionaires? Do you think you do that?
I think I do that quite a lot and very happily. So I have had groups of young children who, they requested me to mentor them, but their age group was 8 to 12. So I put forward my children, because my children have seen this journey. I used to work from home a lot when my children were younger. So my children started mentoring them, speaking to them about life of entrepreneur, how their mother balances things, a lot of things. And then I invited these kids to the office, and they came from all over Scotland. Other than that, in my own business, I have multiple success stories where people walked into the office and they wanted to work, say, in logistics or in finance or in marketing with no prior experience. And they were kind of at that point where they were at a breaking point, saying, for 7 years or 10 years, we've been trying to do this. We really want to learn this, but nobody would give us a chance. And I see myself in those people. And I have multiple success stories in my various offices around the world where I've taken people simply because I've seen that passion or that hunger in them to learn a particular profession or to learn something about business. And now my team would also go out to schools in communities, like in our local community. We do multiple such competitions with various school children where we invite them, talk to them, inspire them, tell them how it can be done. I have judged almost every single award in Scotland this year, and in fact, I've been business award, and in fact, I've been judging awards for last 6 or 7 years now, both in England, in London. I fly down to, and then in Scotland, there is so much community piece I do, speaking at universities, and I love it. It is something that I feel very strongly about. I like people doing well. I like people, realizing their dreams, and I don't want people to feel alone in their entrepreneurial journey like I felt. I have mentored many businesses, women, men alike, who've come asking for help or need advice on export import. It just gives me immense pleasure. I remember a story. I was in London and there was a taxi driver, Uber taxi driver, and I don't know if you'll see this video, but he's on my LinkedIn now. I was talking on the phone and, he was hearing the conversation, and then he started telling me, we had a long journey. He started telling me all about his business idea. And then he flew to Scotland. We taught him, told him how it could be done. And now he actually has his own business. The initial people who came to work for PG Paper have their own business, but I also have people who were working in retail, floor sales, restaurants, who are now my star logistics person or my marketing person. And I absolutely love this, seeing people thrive and do well in the field that they badly want to work in, but nobody has ever thought perhaps there's something here and we could give them a chance.
So maybe from here I can take this, that maybe in audience, if anyone who contact us and those who want to change their career or to want to build a new career, and even those who are in their mid-career crisis, when people are reaching around 40, then they have this thought, oh, am I in the right profession? So I think maybe then I should definitely direct them to the PG Paper Company Limited, and definitely they will find a right mentor or a guru. Now, my next question is, this is same thing is about Scotland is also a blend of opportunities. People mainly, especially in South Asian countries, people have a lot of passion about London and surrounding areas. So, did you find any difference when you moved to Scotland, like when you were in Scotland? Did you ever feel that, oh no, I should move to London and I should do these things? Or you thought, no, in Scotland, there are enough opportunities and you can do a lot of things in Scotland?
I am a very strong believer. So I am a girl born and brought up in Delhi, a very busy city. When I came to Scotland, I absolutely loved the serenity, the peace, the quiet here. And in fact, there were a lot of people who used to ask me, why are you here and why would you not be in London? And there's so much business that can be done in London. You'd grow much faster if you were in London. But, I quite like being in Scotland. I like the fact that if you see where my office is, it's right by the Clyde River. In fact, yesterday, I could see 3 dolphins swimming in the river. So, it is I'm very attracted to nature. And, like I've been widely traveled in India and mainly seen all the forests in India. I think some people like sea, some people like mountains. The other day I was thinking, what is it that I like? I think I like venturing into nature, venturing into forest. So I think I have a perfect setup here. And the flight to London is It's an hour away. So, it's not very difficult to get to London. And I do come to London quite a lot. In fact, I have traveled because my business is international. It's in 60 different countries. I think I've traveled to more than 50 countries in last 20 years. I think travel kind of comes as a second nature. I don't find it hard, but I'd rather be here than be in London. I'm sure people love London, but I'm quite good here and I like my life here.
ये भी एक ह्यूमन नेचर का या इंसानी फितरत का अजीब नमूना कह सकते हैं इसे, कि हम इंसान हमेशा कंक्रीट और सीमेंट से कुछ न कुछ नया बिल्ड करता रहता है, पर एक्चुअल में उसे पसंद नेचर है. यदि हम किसी भी इंसान को जो टूरिस्ट अट्रैक्शन पे जाना चाहता है, दे डोंट वांट टू गो एंड सी मोटर एंड सीमेंट, दे रियली वांट टू सी द रियल नेचर, दे वांट टू सी hills, they want to see valleys, they want to see waterfalls or rivers or lakes, isn't it? So I think ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा, शायद कहीं ना कहीं ह्यूमन सिविलाइजेशन में, ह्यूमन में और नेचर में एक बहुत बड़ा स्ट्रॉन्ग कनेक्शन है. एंड जितनी भी पुरानी सिविलाइजेशन है, ऑल ओल्ड सिविलाइजेशंस, दे बेसिकली थ्राइव नियर द बैंक ऑफ ऑल दीज रिवर्स. सो माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन विल बी, what do you think, what is the impact of Russia-Ukraine war? I know we can talk a lot about this, and definitely we need to talk, because a lot of people, maybe a bigger portion of this planet is suffering from this Russia-Ukraine war. What do you think, what are the impacts of this Russia-Ukraine war on business and on daily life?
See, the thing is that last 2 years have been tough because of COVID. We all know that. They have hurt us personally, they've hurt our businesses, they have hurt our professionals, our mental well-being. And now suddenly we're not really out of COVID yet. Cases are still rising, new, variants are coming out. And now suddenly the world is seeing Russia-Ukraine war. And, that is now seeing the energy prices surging like crazy. The energy prices are going up almost, some people are telling me 4 times, but I'm seeing, multiplication of 6 times. There is the cost of living is going up, especially in Europe and the UK because of Russia-Ukraine war. There is scarcity in basic commodities, like, people are worried about food, about wheat. And I just think, these wars, I question myself sometimes that, we say we learn history in school. Why do we learn history? Is because we say we learn from history, so it never repeats itself. But if you look at the last 100 years or even before, do we actually learn from history? It keeps just repeating itself. Then what is this war about? Russia and Ukraine, it's all the power tussle, isn't it? And who's suffering? It is the common people who have nothing to do with any of this. They are fleeing the country. Now they are, asylum seekers, or in many countries, some of the brightest brains are asking for jobs on LinkedIn. They're ready to do anything just to support their family. This is sad situation. But I think we humans, we love conflict. We thrive on conflict. If there is nothing else to do, two neighbors will end up fighting with each other. I think we have this need, some kind of stimulus needed, to constantly, I don't know. But this is like a very destructive nature that we have. It's unfortunate. I don't like it. But, again, the question is, do we ever learn anything from these wars? And, I feel like the world is going back into that space where it was after in World War II and whatever that happened, such bad politics, conflicting politics, people losing their livelihoods, financial crisis in Sri Lanka. We can talk about this, we can start picking Lebanon, what's happening in Lebanon. Yes, I guess I'm not a world leader, thankfully, so I don't have to deal with these things. But nevertheless, sometimes it's frustrating being a common person and just seeing this happening and not being able to do anything about it.
I fully agree with you, because during pandemic, a lot of people, and especially we have seen a sea of compassion, and we thought maybe now the world will move with this emotion that now we have to take care of each other, because situations like pandemic and other things will affect not only just one individual, it will affect the whole nation and the whole planet. And we were able to see people were having a lot of patience. I was able to see in those cities where traffic is so fast, people were able to stop and they used to give the way to other people. I saw there was no road rage. I saw there was a lot of kindness and compassion in everyone's life. And suddenly there's a conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and what it has caused basically opened a barrage of all these problems. Not only in Europe, it has opened all these problems throughout the planet. And I can clearly see those problems are affecting a lot of business houses also. So maybe my next supplementary question is how this Russia-Ukraine war is impacting businesses, and what do you think finally how it will impact lives of common people?
See, it's already impacting life of common people and businesses both. See where the prices of petrol is. The inflation is going up like crazy. People are saying that the inflation is 6% or 7%. But if you look at the oil prices, almost doubled. Then, the previous, more than doubled actually, than what they were just a few months ago. People, who were getting restaurants, let's pick out a restaurant, they were there, say electricity bill used to be 25,000 or 30,000 pounds a year. Now they are being quoted 125, 150,000 pounds a year when they're going to renew. A lot of hotels are complaining that, with pandemic, they are now being seen as high risk businesses. And some electricity companies aren't even quoting them for renewing their, energy contracts. So please tell me that if we just look, don't even look further afield. If we just look at these few factors which are playing in, deeply affecting the cost of living, and that is affecting both businesses and people alike. A lot of businesses are struggling to stay afloat at the moment simply because their costs have gone up multifold. But customers yet, a restaurant which is selling, say, a beer for £3 can't increase the price overnight to £9. That cannot happen. So how will they survive? And the fear is that if the government doesn't do something about this quick enough, then a lot of businesses, even though they might have survived COVID, might not have it in them to survive all these increasing costs. I mean, COVID.
So I can put it this way:
you
this recent economic crisis may be much more harmful for businesses than the COVID. We will continue our discussion and we will discuss this topic in detail after the break. We were discussing in detail about what is the impact of all these recent situations on daily lives, and I think it's an alarming situation. We will continue our discussion with Ms. Poonam Gupta after the break. Let's see after 5 minutes.
Become who you were born to be. Study online around your life with Arden University. Get the degree you need for the career you deserve. Join us at arden.ac.uk.
180 for 45 minutes. 45 minutes. I think I'm gonna bingo. Hey, Charlie 64, are you gonna bingo?
Hey, Sassy Sam. Yeah, I'm gonna bingo. Hey, Geordie George, are you gonna bingo?
Not right now, mate. Maybe later?
Okay. Hazza 93, are you gonna bingo?
Yeah, I'm defo gonna bingo.
Join the fun at Sun Bingo. Are you gonna bingo?
It's the EE Summer Sale, now with 3 months half price on our 160 gig smart SIM, just a refreshing £12.50 a month. And it's all on the UK's best network. Plus, it's summer, so roam freely when you choose our Roam Abroad Pass. Now that's more bang for your buck. Hurry, offer ends 16th of August.
Stop! Don't overpay for life insurance. Dead Happy redesigned it to be easy and cheap. Emma's dead happy. She's just signed up for a 100k payout and pays just £3.18 a month. Josh is dead happy too. He's just switched from another company and he's saving big time. Prices start from just £1 a month and you can sign up on your phone in minutes. So, for affordable life insurance you can trust, go to deadhappy.com and get your first 2 months free.
My friend told me about Plum last year. One app where I can save, invest and manage my money. I've got automatic savings set up, so I'm building up money without even thinking about it. I started off investing in a couple of funds. Then, as I've gained confidence, I've started investing in individual companies too. It's really easy. Now, every month, I don't just spend my money or let it sit in a savings account like I used to. Download the Plum app to get started today.
Who are we if we allow our oldest friends to suffer and die? If we let our forests be cut down and destroyed? Who are we? It's time to decide. We could be the generation that lost it all, or we can be the ones that chose to fight. Please call the number on screen or search WWF Join Us to become a WWF member and join the fight to save our world.
For your free brochure, call 0800 999 7999. Rise, recline, relax with Oak Tree Mobility.
It's the BT Summer Sale. Get superfast fibre with free setup for only $26.99 a month. It's everything you want to make your home broadband brilliant. Be super fast with a £20 money-back speed guarantee. Get super strength with the Which Best Buy Smart Hub. And be super safe with Norton security included in every broadband package. All for only $26.99 a month. Offer ends 21st of July. Why choose anyone else? Join BT today.
It's easy to save money when you're a Co-op member. We send personalised offers to your phone every week. The only hard bit is choosing what you buy with them. Do you go for something you need? Or your favourite treat? The good news is you can have both. And every time you buy Co-op products, you support your community. Sign up for just £1 and get £1 off your first shop. Download the app, choose your offer and start saving. Co-op, it's what we do.
गुड इवनिंग देवी और सज्जनों, हम चर्चा इस विषय पर कर रहे थे कि जो दुनिया भर में इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ रही है, लिविंग कॉस्ट बढ़ रही है, उसका लोगों पे क्या इम्पैक्ट है, बिजनेसेस पे क्या इम्पैक्ट है, रशिया यूक्रेन के वॉर का लोगों पे क्या इम्पैक्ट है। हम ये चर्चा कर रहे थे वन ऑफ द फेमस बिजनेस वूमेन फ्रॉम स्कॉटलैंड, पूनम जी गुप्ता के साथ। सो पूनम जी, जो हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे ब्रेक से पहले इस सब्जेक्ट पे कि प्राइसेस हैं वो बहुत ज़्यादा इंक्रीज़ हो गई हैं, क्या ये प्राइसेस वाकई में इन्फ्लेशन के हिसाब से इंक्रीज़ हुई या फिर इन्फ्लेशन जो कहता है 6% है, क्या वो सही डेटा है या फिर रियल लाइफ में हमें कुछ और दिखता है?
मैंने बैठ के देखिए कैलकुलेशन तो नहीं किया, लेकिन जो रियल लाइफ में दिख रहा है, आप याद करिए कि कुछ महीने पहले तक पेट्रोल करीब £1.05 के आसपास होता था। आज वही पेट्रोल, मुझे मालूम नहीं लंदन में क्या रेट है, स्कॉटलैंड में 198, 195। हमने बात करी एनर्जी प्राइसेस की। जब हम एनर्जी प्राइसेस जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स पे चलते हैं, आपको पता है एनुअल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स पे, आई हैव मल्टीपल एग्जांपल्स ऑफ मल्टीपल बिजनेसेस जिनके वो बोलते हैं कि 30,000 पाउंड हमारी कॉस्ट होती थी, आज हम रिन्यू कराने जा रहे हैं तो हमारे को 1.5 लाख पाउंड कंपनी ऑफर कर रही है, हमारी मदद करो, सरकार से मदद मांग रहे हैं, they're asking help from the government. Or you walk into, like, maybe sometimes we miss on these small points, but if you observe the prices in the supermarket or the lack of food in supermarket, empty shelves, आपको याद है पिछले 2 साल से पहले कभी आपने सुपरमार्केट में क्रिसमस को छोड़कर कभी एम्प्टी शेल्फ देखे हो? आज की डेट में आप पेट्रोल स्टेशन पे चले जाइए, टेस्को में जाइए, तो किसी भी सुपरमार्केट में somewhere you will find certain shelves, they're empty or not as full as you used to be. I think, the fact is, let me give you some facts. I'm in international trade. A container which used to cost $5,000, $3,500 from China to the UK, and the UK imports a lot. At one point, and now the prices have slightly come down, but started costing $25,000. They were
it's like maybe 7-8 times.
10 times. Most of the time,
times.
the freight cost has gone up nearly 10 times in almost all segments post-COVID. Post-COVID, when I say post-COVID, is not the right thing to say because I don't believe we are post-COVID. Let's say from latter half of 2021. I have, people who've called me from England who are in maybe textiles or in garments, and they are, importing pillows and certain things, and they are saying the cost of goods in the container is $10,000, but the cost of container is $25,000, which used to be $3,500. So now please calculate that container with those items has actually added 2.5 times just in freight costs to the product cost. Now please calculate inflation.
I think inflation has increased rapidly and massively. Not only this, on the top they have to pay taxes and other things also. So overall, when you will calculate, I think it has increased a lot.
Yes, the inflation is really up, and we are also importing a lot of inflation, and we are importing it through fuel, through products. Britain doesn't manufacture so many things, and even when we do manufacture, components come from all over the world. So we are importing inflation. I think you've heard about the automobile industry. You cannot buy a car, like second-hand cars right now are more expensive than a brand new car you can get out of showroom. When did that ever happen?
It has never happened in the past. I have basically a hybrid car, and recently I got a compliment from someone. He said that you were lucky that you purchased on absolute right time, and this is one amazing car, and it's much more expensive than what you have basically paid for this car. And I was surprised when I checked online and I asked someone, that they said yes, if you pay the X amount, now we are ready to offer you Y amount, which is higher than the X amount. So definitely but I'm only concerned because on newspaper the inflation rate is 6%, but in reality it seems it's just more than, I think, 100% in many ways, isn't it?
Yes, I would say that the inflation rate is much higher than 6%. I would have to obviously like I have studied economics in past, but let's just look around you and check the ground reality. How do I say that has my cost of living gone up only 6%? It hasn't. It's gone up multifold, not 6%.
Our energy bills more than double. It's, I think, 250%. Our petrol bill, it has gone more than double. If we will think about food and other things, definitely it has gone double. So it's not 6%. I think no one will agree if we will check in our surroundings. So I'm not sure of how government basically come out with this data which tells us that inflation rate is 6% or 8% or 9%. I'm really not sure about this. So I know this is time of uncertainties, and I was talking to you about that as a businesswoman, sometimes people come and ask you for guidance. This is time full of uncertainties. There are more risks, but in reality, in business, those who can take risk, they can win. What will you suggest to the people, those who want to start a new business in this age, and why will you suggest those ideas?
Well, I would say to anybody who's starting a new business, if you have a good idea, do a thorough research. And do your research beyond friends and family. Your friends and family will say either two things. Either they'll say, oh, this is not a good time. Why do you want to do business? Don't do business. It's very risky. Or, they will say simply, oh, wow, what a great idea, even if it's not. So it tends to be two corners of, either it's amazing or it's, don't do it at all. But when you go beyond your normal friend circle, you might get some real information and be open to what you're listening from people. One thing I say in business, which is very important, is budgeting. A lot of people think business is about setting up a new fancy office, getting yourself a beautiful secretary or a nice secretary, making teas and coffees for you. You pretend that you are bigger than you are. Yeah, fake it till you make it. I'm not really against that. But, the thing is that business can actually be started from very humble beginnings, and as you grow, then you build. I actually ran my business for 12 years from my house. But, I used to travel a lot, but I saved so much money doing that, and then I kept reinvesting my money, back into my business to ensure that my business grew rapidly, which it did. So whatever you do, think savvy. Don't let recession or these rising prices and all think that okay, this isn't the right time. There is never a right time. There are multiple startups coming out. I have judged a lot of awards in Scotland and in the UK this year. They are doing quite well. The businesses which are working on sustainability, energy, they are tech, seem to be doing better than product-based businesses. But if you have a unique product which you think can change the world or change the way certain things are being used or processes, then don't let rising prices or, this whole rising cost hold you back. Just be smart. Try and budget yourself. Try and figure out, save money wherever you can so you can spend it in right places. I think that's the right way to start a business.
I think so. Maybe I can just take one more piece of advice from you, and that advice was, if you really want to open a business, then don't try to open a huge office near the river in Glasgow. You should try to start from a humble background, and when you will build up, finally those things will end up there. So I think ऐसा नहीं कि enjoy the journey, forget about the destination. One day you will definitely reach to the destination. मेरा जो next सवाल है वो बहुत interesting है, और interesting इसलिए क्योंकि I ask this question each and every guest, और मुझे लगता है कि ये जितने भी दर्शक हैं वो इस सवाल का इंतज़ार करते हैं. उनका रीज़न ये है क्योंकि ये एक रेगुलर फीचर है ऑलमोस्ट हर प्रोग्राम का, क्योंकि किताबें दुनिया की एक ऐसी खिड़की होती है, जब आप उस खिड़की को खोलते हैं तो आप एक नई दुनिया के जहान को देखते हैं। ठीक वैसे ही हर इंसान अपनी फितरत के हिसाब से, अपनी जहनीत के हिसाब से, अपने नज़रिए के हिसाब से, अपने खूबसूरत एहसास के हिसाब से अलग अलग तरह की किताबें पढ़ता है। मैंने देखा कि कुछ लोगों को हिंदी में यदि कहूँ तो रामधारी सिंह दिनकर पसंद था, तो किसी को अमृता प्रीतम की रोमानियत भरी किताबें पसंद थी। यदि मैं इंग्लिश में भी देखूँ तो अलग अलग राइटर्स हैं, जिन इवन जैसे पॉलो कोएल्हो, उनकी किताबें भी बहुत ज़बरदस्त है, कईयों को बहुत अच्छी लगती हैं क्योंकि वो छोटी हैं, शॉर्ट स्टोरीज़ हैं, बट बहुत पावरफुल है। आपकी फेवरेट बुक कौन सी है और उसका क्या रीज़न है?
एक्चुअली मेरी कोई ऐसा एक किताब नहीं है जो फेवरेट है। मैं काफी तरह के बहुत डिफरेंट टॉपिक्स पे किताबें पढ़ती हूँ। मैं आपको ये बता सकती हूँ कि मेरी कुछ किताबें जिन्होंने काफी इम्पैक्ट किया मेरी थिंकिंग को, और कुछ किताबें जो मैंने लेटेस्ट पढ़ी, मेरी जनरली आई टेंड टू रीड रियल लाइफ स्टोरीज और बायोग्राफीज, दैट्स व्हाट आई लाइक. So I have read Richard Branson's biography because long time ago I had the privilege to meet him in Delhi when he had launched Virgin Atlantic. So I was always curious to learn more about him. I read his biography. I found him very interesting, and his biography very interesting. I read Thousand Splendid Suns, and that's kind of based on Taliban and the Kite Runner. And that impacted me because it shows a very difficult human aspect. Those books talk about what was happening in the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. It was one of those books impacted me because generally I'm a very quick reader. I'll pick up a novel and I read it or finish it between 4 to 5 hours. But those books I had to stop multiple times to start again. Like the pain and sorrow in that book and the way it came out was very difficult to continue reading the book. And the latest book, in fact, I have finished reading. I've got it here. It's on the Indian actor Manoj Bajpayee, written by Piyush Pandey, and it's a book about his struggle. I've just finished reading it 3-4 days ago. And this is I found it quite inspirational. Manoj Bajpayee, I remember him from the film Aks. I really enjoyed that film, and everybody thought I was
Even I remember Manoj
that
Bajpayee's acting in, I think this is called Shool, or a movie जिसमें उन्होंने एक पुलिस अफसर का रोल किया. It has impacted me a lot. मतलब उनकी जो कह सकते हैं बेहतर संवाद अदायगी, the dialogue delivery is amazing. And recently,
he's an amazing actor. He's an amazing actor. And this book talks about his struggles, and not one struggle. He's kind of, yo-yoing in his struggles. He peaks, then he falls, then he peaks, then he falls. And his struggle despite being such a fine actor, you can say rising from the phoenix that you were talking about, kind of fits this actor perfectly. And I remembered Aks very clearly, that movie he had with Amitabh Bachchan. I loved that movie. And when I came out of the cinema hall, I was with my family, and all of them hated it, I remember. And they said to me, "Are you mad? Why do you like this movie?" And I said, "But I loved it. Why do you not like this movie?" So it's just like his story of struggles. And then I recently read the book The Rise of BJP, and that's written by the Indian Climate Minister Shri Bhupinder Yadav ji. And I have unearthed so many facts about what happened in politics during Congress regime, or start of BJP, and how it all happened, and the facts and figures and so many things I didn't know about. And I thought, that was kind of knowledge gathering, and that made me think, oh my God, I didn't know any of this. So, so that's something else that I've read recently. So I don't know what I'm going to read next. I have a book being sent to me, Tata Short Stories. So that's the next one I'm going to start.
मैं जो बीच में एक बात शेयर करना चाहता था वो मनोज वाजपेयी के बारे में. उनकी जो डायलॉग डिलीवरी है, इट्स एन अमेजिंग एस्पेक्ट ऑफ हिज पर्सनालिटी, और हमेशा वो उस कैरेक्टर में शायद घुस जाते हैं. उनका हर एक आदमी का एक कैरेक्टर होता है. मुझे जो उनकी एक बेहतर चीज़ों में, मेरे बहुत सारे सालों से एक फेवरेट कह सकता हूँ कि जो पोएट जो या कविताएं पढ़ने वाले स्टार हैं वो आशुतोष राणा रहे हैं. जब भी आशुतोष राणा पढ़ते थे कोई भी ऐसी कविता, तो मुझे लगता था कि मेरे शरीर के रोम रोम को झंकृत कर देते थे. लेकिन मैंने मनोज वाजपेयी ने भी रिसेंटली रामधारी सिंह दिनकर की एक बहुत ज़बरदस्त कविता पढ़ी, और मुझे लगा कि उसके हर शब्द में जो एक इमोशन है, वो इमोशन को वो ट्रांसफ़र करते हैं. आपने एक बेहतरीन बात बोली कि कुछ किताबें, कुछ शब्द, कुछ बातें या कुछ लोगों की बातें इस तरह से होती है जो हमारे अंदर इमोशन के बकेट्स को एकदम कह सकते हैं कि इमोशन का जो कहीं ना कहीं छिपा होता है ना, उसके सागर की लहरों की तरह उफरने लगता है। आप उन किताबों को जब पढ़ते हैं तो आपका दिल कहीं ना कहीं पसीज जाता है, आपको लगता है कि इतना सारा इमोशन मेरे अंदर भरा पड़ा है। कई बार आप उस इमोशन को हैंडल नहीं कर पाते, इसलिए आपको उस किताब को बंद करना पड़ता है। और ये शायद कई ऐसी किताबें हैं जिनको आप पढ़ते नहीं हैं, आप उन किताबों को महसूस करते हैं। और मेरा ये सवाल पूछने का यही कारण था, क्योंकि लोगों के पास यदि आज आप सोशल मीडिया पे जाके टाइप करेंगे कि व्हाट इज़ योर फेवरेट बुक, तो लोग उन सारी फेमस किताबों के नाम लिख देंगे जो उन्होंने पढ़ी नहीं है, बस ड्राइंग रूम में सजा कर रखी है। पर शायद ये देखना बहुत ज़रूरी है लोगों के नज़रिए से कि वाकई में कौन सी किताबों ने उनकी ज़िंदगी में कहीं ना कहीं कोई महसूस होने की उस परिकल्पना को साबित किया। मेरा जो नेक्स्ट सवाल है वो भी आपकी नेक्स्ट बुक से रिलेटेड है, जो भूपेंद्र जी ने लिखी, द राइज ऑफ बीजेपी। इंडियन पॉलिटिक्स डेफिनेटली स्कॉटलैंड में आने के बाद कई बार ऐसा होता है कि हम इंडिया से 2002 में आए तो हम वाजपेयी ईरा के बाद हम उसी ईरा में शिफ्ट हो गए। उसके बाद जो नया एरा आया ना, उसमें हम रह नहीं पाए। मैंने हमेशा एक पैटर्न देखा है इमिग्रेशन और माइग्रेशन के संदर्भ में। जो लोग 1970s और 80s में आए, मैं जब भी आज उनसे मिलता हूँ, उनकी पार्टीज़ में जाता हूँ, तो मैं देखता हूँ कि उनमें 1970s और 80s के ही गाने चलते हैं और उन्हें लगता है कि जैसा भारत उन्होंने 1970 में देखा वैसा भारत आज भी है। मैं जब 2002 या 2007 में जब मैं आया हूँ तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि उस ज़माने का भारत अभी भी वैसा ही भारत है जैसा मैं छोड़ कर आया था। उस दौर में हूँ। तो आपने 2002 में जब छोड़ा, आपने सोचा होगा वैसी पॉलिटिक्स रही होगी। हाउ डू यू सी इंडियन पॉलिटिक्स इन टुडेज कॉन्टेक्स्ट? या आपको लगता है कि 2002 में जो छोड़ के आए वो ठीक था, या आज जो हो रहा है, इनमें आपका खुद का मत क्या है?
ओके, पहले तो मैं ये बोलना चाहूंगी कि मैंने आपको बताया, मैंने पता नहीं अभी तक बताया कि नहीं, मैं काफी कीन रीडर हूँ। चाहे मैं किताब पढूं या मैं सारी न्यूज ट्विटर पे पढूं या मैं गूगल पे पढूं, या न्यूज के अलावा बहुत सारे टॉपिक्स मैं फॉलो करती हूँ और पॉलिटिक्स उसमें से एक टॉपिक है। अब मैंने आपको बताया कि मैंने अपना बिजनेस 2003 में शुरू किया था और उस समय कांग्रेस का राज था भारत पर। And at that time, I used to travel around the whole world, and India was not really a topic of conversation anywhere in the world. Then, back in 2014, just before 2014, when BJP was getting like you can say BJP ki wave aa rahi thi dobara, and people were talking about Modi ji in particular. In fact, Modi ji, I have been hearing about them since he was the chief minister of Gujarat. Apparently, I don't remember this, but somebody reminded me that long time ago I got an invitation when he was the chief minister of Gujarat to go to India to meet with him, and I think that was the time he was gathering business people around the world.
That was which year?
I think I can't remember, but actually my uncle reminded me of this because apparently I called him up and I said I got this invitation from the chief minister, and I have been invited to come to Gujarat. And he told me, he reminds me that he told me at that time to go, and I couldn't go. Must have been some reasons that I couldn't go. My children were also very young. I had to juggle quite a lot when my children were younger. Thankfully now they're 15 and 17. So Modi ji, I could hear there was a lot of, you can say, underlying, news about him, even when people used to talk about him here and there. And, so the name used to come up, but in 2014, that name peaked like never before. And I remember during that time when I used to travel for all these multiple business trips all over the world, the topic of discussion at that time was this new rising star of India. What did I think of the government? What did I think of the Prime Minister? What will happen if Modi becomes the Prime Minister? What will happen if BJP comes to power? And suddenly I used to feel, wow, the world is talking about India. You can imagine, like between 2003 and 2014, I'm telling you, none of this Indian politics or nobody, it was like, yeah, I'm an Indian, and suddenly 2014 and post 2014 was even better. Came a time where I was like, suddenly people were interested in India and asking questions. And post 2014, I would say that the way Modi ji, we can feel that, I am an international traveler. I go to Japan, I go to, all over Scandinavia. I've been to Africa, I've been to America. And it's the first time that people know the Indian Prime Minister wherever I go by his name. They tell him, how is this new Prime Minister, like not so new anymore, I guess. How do you feel about your Prime Minister Modi? How do you feel about Indian politics? What do you think about that? I think he has elevated India definitely on global platform, and not just that, he has elevated, the image of Indians all over the world, to this whole new platform where we are not seen to be some kind of third world backward country. We are being seen as the future. We are being seen as the rising economy. We are being seen one of the most powerful economy. This whole conflict that happened between India and China, I can't remember somebody who, but I think it was somebody who said to me, somebody important actually, who said to me, a foreigner, like not a non-Indian, I mean, in another country, who said, well done to India to stand up against China. And so then you don't think about it as an Indian. You feel really good deep inside, You know that India has its problem. We are the largest democracy in the world. We have problems. It's not like we don't have problems. But we also have to acknowledge that 8 years of BJP being in power properly and Modi ji's being in power, India is still moving ahead. India is not scared of anybody. India doesn't take direction from anybody. India is doing its own thing. There are startups. I think I was reading how many startups are being born in India every week. So, India is being that success story under his leadership. Indians feel important on global platform. India is being talked about. I think that's great for any Indian, especially the ones living abroad, like us.
I can see the passion and the pride on your face when you were talking about the last 5 minutes about when you were discussing about how you felt in last 15-20 years when you were traveling different places. I have one more question before we can discuss few other questions. I know you couldn't go to Gujarat when he invited you, but definitely he came to Glasgow when Glasgow invited him. So finally you met him. So that's something which I can simply say. So briefly, can you just tell me in 30 seconds how was your experience when you met him in Glasgow?
And 30 seconds is not enough to describe that experience, but there was so much excitement about Modi ji being here, and I think I don't know if you were there, I think you were there as well, and you could see, like people chanting Modi ji, and I remember my children were there, and at that time they were 14 and 16, and my daughter actually made this comment, and
yes.
She's born and brought up here. She said, Mama, I think Modi ji is definitely the most popular prime minister in the world. She said, I can't imagine people of any country chanting their PM's name like, people were doing for Modi ji. And she got to meet him as well. They both got to meet him. So I think, he comes across so well, and, no matter what the euphoria around him is, he's so in control of the situation, that it's amazing to watch him. It's just amazing to watch.
I completely agree with you. Yes. So I think everyone has experienced that feeling when people were there, and everyone is developing a new sense of India in their own mindset and in their own thought process. हमारे पास वैसे और सवाल बहुत हैं और जवाब बहुत हैं, लेकिन कई बार क्या होती है, जो कर्मठ महिलाएं हैं वो हमेशा नई चीज़ें और नया या 100 इन्फ्लुएंशियल यूके के लोगों में रहे या अर्नेस्ट यंग का अवार्ड जीता. आई थिंक भविष्य के गर्भ में बहुत कुछ और लिखा है जो शायद इससे भी ज़्यादा प्राउड करने योग्य हो. उस पर भी हम फ्यूचर में चर्चा जारी रखेंगे, जिस पर शायद कोई नया अचीवमेंट आपकी लाइफ में ऐसा आए. ऐसी मेरी शुभेच्छाएं हैं. आज के इस कार्यक्रम में आप आए, इसके लिए आपको थैंक्स अ लॉट. स्कॉटलैंड, इंग्लैंड, इंडिया, इन सब के रिलेशनशिप बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग हो, लोगों की लाइफ बहुत सुकून भरी हो, ऐसी भी शुभकांक्षाएं हैं. दर्शकों को आज का ये एपिसोड बहुत ज़बरदस्त पसंद आया होगा, क्योंकि ये भी एक ऐसी कहानी है जो हम जैसे लोगों के बीच में से कहीं उठी है और अपनी खुद की सफलता के शिखर पर या खुद की कहानी खुद अपने हिस्से से लिखी है. आज के लिए बस इतना ही. इजाज़त चाहूँगा. अगले हफ्ते शाम 7 बजे थर्सडे को थेम्स स्पीक्स में आपका हार्दिक स्वागत.